Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Reasonably Effective podcast. I'm 10 Types, joined by Uncommon Fossil, who is a little under the weather. This time it's not me, it's you. But you did say you have something you wanted to tell me before we hopped into things.
Oh yeah, I mean right now as of the time of recording, EIC is going on. I think day two might be finished. I'm not certain, and I know six of the top eight decks just by archetype, not by lists. Although I'm sure people know more if they've been paying attention. Two unknown, like I said, there is one Lost Zone Tina, two Charizard Pidgeot decks, a Future Hands, which a deck I don't think you've given that much respect for, and two controls, a Pidgeot control and a Snorlax control, and you'll be pleased that on whatever the site that lists the actual decks, which is I forget what it's called, but
Is it Pokestats?
Pokestats. Yes, they call it Snorlax control, not
Skull.
not Snorlax stall. So your respect for them has gone up for that, I assume.
Yeah. Limitless. Let me see. So I'm gonna pull it up. Obviously, if you're just listening, you can't see this, but so the Limitless, I've lost it. So there's a deck. The Limitless called it Snorlax Stall, but then they call Pidgeot Control, but they're like very similar. So I don't know why the one stall and the one's control. It doesn't make any sense. But anyways,
Yeah, although
yeah,
the Pidgeot deck has more options in it, right? Generally speaking.
yeah, but
So
that doesn't define anyway. So that's interesting, I guess. You said I was going to see more of those decks on ladder, like in general.
I
Or
assume
you
so,
talking about
depending on these
control?
results. I don't know what it'll be. I don't think control is still going to be that be that popular. In fact, I watched a little bit of the streams, and if you haven't, if you watch the streams on Twitch, you will get free packs. So anyway, it might be too late by the time you get this, but I think if you watch the
Yeah, it
replays,
will be because
I think you have a
this
few
is
days to watch
releasing.
the replays. And actually,
Oh, okay.
if you watch the replays, maybe not the English ones, but they have partners channels which are in non-English broadcasts, and I think you will get credit for that up to a week. I think up to the 15th. So you can watch that even if you can't understand it. You can get some packs. Um,
Okay. Oh, and then speaking of free stuff, there is a code, Burst
yes,
Roar UIC 24. It's all one word, capital B, capital R, and then UIC is all capitalized,
right.
and that is it's a code you can redeem on Pokemon TCG Live for a what's it like a secret? No, sorry, a special illustration rare, Raging Bolt EX. This also works till the 15th, and there are only 100,000 copies available, but that seems like a lot. I don't know exactly how many people play live and pay attention to like
Right.
tournaments, but that seems like you should probably be able to get it.
I would think so. I actually redeemed mine a little bit earlier today. And if you need to know the spelling, you can go to pokebeach.com and they have an article that with with that in the title actually, so it's easy to find.
Yeah, and I imagine other places have it as well. But yeah, anyways,
Yeah,
aside from that,
but
we have
on the control decks, it was less than it was at best the six played deck. It might have been lower played than that. Snorlax, the control decks, but yet two in the top eight. So I just people coming in said Snorlax or these control decks are good, but people don't like to play them, and both those things seem to be true.
yeah. Although six most played is it's decently played, I
Yeah,
think.
but that means there are other decks obviously that were more played, obviously that weren't represented. Part of it, as they said, is for casual players, which probably makes up even at an international a good maybe half the players or more. They don't want to sit there and play control all day, which is probably true.
Yeah, yeah. But anyways,
Anyway,
so
yeah,
I
moving on,
honestly,
right?
yeah, I don't really care that I would consider myself certainly not a competitive player. I wouldn't
Hmm.
say I'm bad. I'd say in terms of skill, I'm like pretty good, but I don't really care about, competitive events unless it's what I'm going to see on the ladder. If I see, so I've been playing a lot of control recently, and I've been playing a lot of control mirrors, and I don't play like I play some control, and I played this control mirror yesterday. I just like my opponent was not very good. I think they were just someone who'd like picked up control and didn't really know what they were doing. Not that they were like terrible, they were following the basic ideas, but they made a lot of misplays. And control mirrors can actually be interesting in my opinion. They are somewhat luck based, and certain things can be kind of annoying, but I think they can be interesting. Yeah, I imagine many people will disagree with me on that, but yeah.
I think top, if I might be wrong, but I think Tord and Azul are top eight. towards playing a Charizard deck, and I think Azul's playing a Lost Zone Tina. So if either of those in particular were to win the event, you will see that deck just everywhere. I gotta
Yeah,
imagine.
that's definitely true. So
But
we'll see how it goes.
yeah,
But anyways, and I'm sure you watching this, if you paid attention to the event, that will have happened by now. And so tell me, are those decks all over the ladder, or tell us down below. Anyways, so today I had an idea, Uncommon Fossil. You said you were somewhat skeptical about this idea, but it's also kind of your idea. Um,
well,
and so
it's your take on my idea, is what I'll say.
yeah, so your idea was what you wanted us to like build decks together or something, right?
Yes, yes. Some deck building is something I'm always pushing to you, and you're always pushing it away.
Yeah. Of course, on a podcast, showing a 60 card list doesn't work because you can't see anything if you're just listening. And, it's not necessarily the ideal way to do things. So instead, I think I came up with an idea that we should each come up with deck concepts, but not just any deck concepts. I don't want to be like, yo, you should play Charizard with Pidgeot because that's not so interesting. So we each chose 3 cards that we thought were interesting. I think the ones
Yeah,
I chose, I thought were interesting, but that we weren't entirely sure what to do with them. So we're handing them off to the other person, and so we each have some cards from the other person. We've come up with some ideas, and we're going to share them all with each other and with you. So Uncommon Fossil, you want to tell the viewers what you gave me, what you assigned me.
yeah. 3 cards. So the first is the Eevee from with Astral Radiance. Looking at what the little symbol is, it's Astral Radiance. Card 119. It's got 50 HP basic with attack tackle for 2 colors, but it's got the ability Resonant Evolution. Once during your turn, when you play this Pokemon from your hand, when you play a Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your other Eevee, you may search your deck for a card that evolves from this Pokemon and put it on to this Pokemon and evolve it, then shuffle your deck. And I think then, oh no, so the second, so if you evolve this one with Resonant Evolution, it then does not trigger another Eevee. But I think if you had if you had all these in play when you evolve one, from hand, I think does it trigger all 3? I forget the ruling
Yes,
now.
yes, it will. Because
So
it's dependent on you evolving the other. Yeah, it
the
does.
first one, so you can
So,
evolve all 4 in one shot potentially.
yep, which is fun. And if you have one in play, turn 1, then turn 2, you can play 3 EVs, evolve the first EV, and then evolve all 4, even though you played the other 3 this turn, which is
Right.
interesting.
You can evolve in the first turn you haven't played, and there's a bunch of options with it, which you'll get into, I assume. And then the next card is the Dunsparce, and not the new Dunsparce, the one that everyone knows about, but the one from Paldea evolved, right? I believe
Yeah, yeah,
157 with 140 HP, stage 1, not bad. Retreat cost of 3, that is bad. Mud Slap does 1 for 30, and then Dig Away Flash, which I think is where things hopefully get a little more interesting, does 100 damage, and the opponent's Pokemon is paralyzed, which is quite good. You do shuffle this Pokemon, all attached cards into your deck, which may be good, may be bad. It is an attack cost of 4 colors energy, which probably isn't great. Um,
yeah.
Paralysis, though, of all the special conditions, I think is the most dangerous one. So I'm always looking out for ways to paralyze. I got to say, because if you can get paralysis on your opponent, you can just shut them down for the rest of the game from that point on.
Yeah, and it's definitely something scary, especially, I'll talk about it.
Yeah, and then we have a Rabska, making sure it's the right one here.
Rabska,
That's true. Rabska
obviously. No.
carrying a ball of goodness, but you can talk about that as you choose. From Paldea evolved again, or yeah, so Paldea evolved,
Yeah,
Paldean Fates.
yeah, because there's Paldean Face, which is also like it's similar. I get
That
confused
one's what
all the
PAF, I
time.
guess.
Yeah, it's PAF.
Okay, that's why I was getting a little. And number 99 is what this one is. 70 HP, stage 1. You have Psybeam for 2 psychic energy, does 50. Your opponent active Pokemon's confused, which is fine. But I think it's the first attack to me, which is interesting. For 1 colorless Revival Blessing, put a Pokemon from your discard pile onto your bench, which right in it doesn't have to be a basic you're putting onto your bench, so it opens up to anything at all to go. So this seems like the ultimate box deck that can take down the meta. I just handed that one to you on a platter.
Yeah. So let's see. Where should we start? I guess I'll start with the simplest one, which is Eevee.
Yep.
Eevee is obviously it's going to be an evolution based toolbox deck,
Right.
and the ability I don't know. I mean, the ability is kind of honestly whatever because it doesn't let you get the Pokemon to play faster, but it does. Well, it doesn't let you get your first Eevee into play or first evolution into play faster, but it
Right.
does kind of increase your consistency. So I was looking through them. There's 8 evolutions, and all of them actually have exactly one card in standard.
Yes, I was very surprised by that.
Yeah, there is a new Leafeon and Glaceon coming out in I don't know, somewhere. I think it's out in Japan, but not out here.
Okay.
So, wait, is it actually out? Yeah, it is out in Japan. Oh, apparently, there's
And,
2 of them.
and
I
are
knew that.
those and none of these are EXs? Are the new ones EXs by the way or not?
No, I imagine I think we'll get Evolution EXs. I'd love to see that. I think it would make sense because they're really popular Pokemon,
Right.
and they're gonna sell well. So and they'll probably be fun. But so far we have not seen that. But we have seen the evolutions, one of each. And so I guess we'll go through them just each one by one. First of all, we have
Yep.
Sylveon, which is kind of bad, honestly. It does
Yeah.
180 to a dragon Pokemon for 3 colorless. The idea is that it's a fairy type, so it hits dragons for weakness, but it's not a fairy type, it's a psychic type because fairy type doesn't exist. So it's bad. Yeah, it's just kind of bad. Uh
I mean, I
it
guess
doesn't
the
really
first attack for control possibly, right?
yeah, so there's a somewhat iconic Sylveon GX. Was that Search for Two or Search for Three? I honestly don't remember. It was Search for Three, but this is Search for Two. Um, but it's not as good. It was kind of like a tanky stall-based deck. This attack, unfortunately, the Sylveon is bad. You said control, and you could use it in that. It searches for 2 cards for 1 energy, but it's not that good.
Yeah, and I
But
don't
moving
think
on,
the other evolutions aren't control cards, so I don't think you have a control deck
yeah.
with
Oh,
this.
there's a stall card.
Okay.
But then we have the evolutions from 151. They all have the same second attack. Well, it's Vaporeon, Jolteon, and Flareon, all with a is their attack the same name? No, it's fighting something. The Vaporeon, for example, is fighting Whirlpool. And they do 90, but 180 for the type like water or lightning or fire, plus colorless. So 3 energy can be paid easily with the reversal
Right.
and assuming you're down, and then you hit 180 if your opponent's active is a V or EX. Otherwise, you just do 90. But most Pokemon are Vs or EXs. The issue is they're not amazing weaknesses to hit. They're kind of bad, but you
Yeah. I
probably
mean,
play all of them with
water,
one of
lightning,
each.
and fire. Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think they're kind of interesting though. The other attacks they have are not that good. Um, they're all kind of bad, unfortunately. Uh, Jolteon does have Oh, speaking of control, I guess Flareon does have Destructive Flame 30, but on a coin flip, you discard an energy attached to your opponent's active. So if you get a little lucky there, you can punish your opponent with that sum. Uh,
Yeah.
and then you also have Jolteon, which can do 30 snipe to one of your opponent's Pokemon, but we do have Umbreon, and that's better. It's like just better. Faint attack does 50 to one of your opponent's Pokemon and isn't affected by weakness, resistance, or effects. Notably, it can hit through Manaphy, and there are a number of basics that people
Hmm.
play that have 50 HP or less. Notably, Pidgey. There's Nadu, and like Flittle, which I've been playing some.
Yep.
There's a few, right? 50's okay. It's you'd rather be like 60 or 70, but it's okay.
Right. I mean, hitting through Manaphy is is potentially a big deal. So that is nice. And the other attack's not terrible on it.
Yeah, here we got Pitch Black Blade, 140 for Darkness colorless. During your next turn, this Pokemon can attack. The issue obviously is that I mean darkness isn't an amazing weakness, is it? I don't think so. Gardevoir and Mew VMAX aren't played. Well, Mew VMAX isn't played at
Max
all.
is gone, right?
Gardevoir is not played very much. So with the rotation, Dark Psychic has gotten worse. Even Lost Zone's arguably gotten worse, but that's like you're it's not tanky. Comfy's not weak to this, and Sableye is
Right.
not very tanky.
Right. Right. A lot of the psychics are metal weak too. So, um, and one of the things I'll just say, we have 8 of these evolutions, but we have 2 of the types are duplicates. So we're missing 2 of the 8 types, particularly what fighting type, which would be very nice to have, and metal type is the other ones that it lacks.
Yeah, of the types that hit weakness, because there's no Colorless or Dragon either.
Right.
But then we do have, which is the next one I'll go to. I'll go to
You have what?
Espeon, I guess. Espeon is the
Okay.
other. I honestly forget what Espeon does. Um, it's not. Oh yeah. So this one's kind of interesting. It can on a coin flip do paralysis, but
Right.
more importantly, you have Psychic Assault, 30, 10 more for each damage counter on your opponent's active. This is a pretty good finishing attack. It should two-shot. And it's only one Psychic. So the idea, I didn't really talk about it too much, but I mentioned Reversal, and then you have Luminous Energy. So you have 4 Reversal, 4 Luminous,
Hmm.
and then you have this toolbox of attackers. And then you have Psychic Assault here, which will be like your finishing attack. You hit them with Vaporeon or whatever, the ones that do 180, and then you finish them off with this, no matter how much HP they have. So that's pretty interesting. And then we have Glaceon. Glaceon is actually really interesting. This one, I think it's interesting. It's good. So pretty much what
Yeah.
it does. What is this other one in format? No. Okay. So Frostwall, we have Ice Blast 120 for 3, but you'd rather use Vaporeon. But
Right.
then you do have Frostwall, 30 for 1 water, and you're immune to evolution Pokemon, which is really good, right? They're like Charizard's good.
Yeah, I mean, there's a number of evolutions. Obviously, there's a lot of basics in the game too right now, so you need to be able to need a game plan for basics as well. But for sure, but yeah, it's nice having that a little walling ability.
Yeah. And then speaking of Charizard, you have Leafeon, which is a grass type. And Leafeon does where is Leafeon? One shot. Charizard, it does well, okay.
How's it?
Leafe's
It's
like
one-shotting Charizard. All right,
with
explain
super
this.
effective glasses.
Ah,
So
okay,
so it does
easy peasy.
yeah, grass, colorless, can't attack next turn, but 120 and you one-shot Charizard, which is actually a really good Charizard counter. We're gonna talk about we might talk about some others. We might talk about some new card reveals. There have been some counters to
Hmm.
Charizard, but this one's really good. Um,
Right,
yeah, I
super.
mean it's not insanely good. It's a little awkward, but you need a reversal. You can evolve easier with the Eevee and then use super effective glasses.
Right, right. Super effective glass, if you're not familiar, is a tool card, and it makes weakness 3 times multiple. So, and obviously there's a lot of Arvin and a lot of decks. So if you're going to need this, you probably drop it, making this a 4 Arvin deck, I would think. In some ways, the way I kind of look at it, this is kind of the new way to go with Zoroark, right? Because we've lost that ability to evolve to different types of stage ones and toss on reversal energy. So if you miss that, you have the Eevee route to go.
Yeah, and I do think so there are some new ones coming out. I honestly forget what they are. I feel like they're worth a mention here. So there's a Sylveon that like heals, but or sorry, a Leafeon that heals, but I don't think it's very good.
Hmm.
Was it Glaceon? I don't remember this one either. Oh, it's like okay, it's a mediocre attacker, but I think the main idea you do have this toolbox. Do Jolteon slash Flareon slash Vaporeon all hit for very solid damage. And
Hmm.
then at the same time, you also can finish off with Espeon. So in your generic matchups, that's what you go with. And you have decent
Right.
consistency with the Eevee. And then you can just be like a single prize deck that can take one shots, but also can take 2 shots, which is okay if you're a single prizer, unless you're against Iron Hands. That's not so good.
Yeah, that would be pretty disastrous there. Although you can avoid playing lightning
Yeah.
weak
I mean, you
Pokemon,
can put
but they're gonna
I guess we do is I think they're all one-shotted by
yeah,
Iron
I think
Hands.
they are. I mean,
Or they all have one.
Flareon's
No, they don't all have
130.
110. Oh, Flareon's 130. Okay.
Yeah, but
So as long as they don't have any damage buffs.
right, with one tool, the tool attached, or any Iron Crown in play, you're good to go.
Yeah.
Um,
Or I do think what you do if you're running super effective glasses is you can run Minior, which will one-shot Iron Hands EX with super
yeah,
effective glasses. Assuming they don't have Beach Court. If like Lawson runs Beach Court, so then you wouldn't be taking the one shot. But you can bump it. It's not that big of a deal, I guess. I don't know. Single price decks struggle against Iron Hands. But outside of that, I think this is an interesting concept and kind of a fun deck idea.
yeah, I think it's coming short. Now, I do think if we get obviously some evolutions that are EXs, then this has to get revisited. I would think at that point.
Yeah. Um, so then the next one we have is going to be I guess we'll go with the Dunsparce. And this one's interesting. So what you said is that it does dig away flash 100 for 4, and then you
Yes,
paralyze your opponent's active, and then shuffle this Pokemon into the deck and all attached cards.
right.
Um, so
You
so there's a
don't. At
new
least you don't lose your energy, right? That's the one good thing about
Mhm.
it.
Yeah, it's interesting. And there's the new Dunsparce, right? With this ability
Yes.
runaway draw, you can draw three if it's on the bench, or it can be in the active. You just draw three. And
Yep.
then if you did shuffle this Pokemon, all cards attached to into your deck, right? So we have a bit of a theme here.
Right. Yep. Shuffle away there. Yep.
And I'm sure this is the combo you're thinking of when you brought this card to me. This card, honestly, it took me a while to find. I was like looking through all the cards and I just couldn't find it. And then I looked and then but then I was like, okay, I found it. That was last night. And then I
Okay.
closed
Good.
my tabs, right, and went to bed. And today I woke up and I struggled to find it again. This is how memorable my card is.
Wow.
But of course it's Bill's transfer, right? This is what you had in mind when.
Bill's transfer is the key to this.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I think this is the right. You wanna read it out?
All right. So Bill's transfer. Look at the top 8 cards of your deck. You may reveal any number of Pokemon you find there. Put them into your hand. You shuffle the other cards back into your deck. So a way to get multiple Dunsparce and to Dunsparce on one turn. Hopefully, right? You're playing 4 of each. Obviously, what your mix of the Dunsparce is, you have to figure that out. But we need to keep the chain cycling, and obviously they go back in your deck, and that's a big plus.
Yeah, so I think this is the kind of fun concept where you just have all these guys like going in and out of your deck, and you get them with Bill's transfer because I think this might be honestly the best way to get them. Because you're probably gonna hit like 3 or 4 Pokemon because you have a lot of these guys. So
Right. And now
um
the Dunsparces are searchable with Buddy Buddy Poffin.
yeah,
So
and
that
Featherball,
that's right.
the
There
Dunsparce, not the
the
Dunsparce.
the one Dunsparce is, yeah.
Yeah.
Now I think the other one has more HP
Oh,
though,
it
and
does.
has a
Yeah,
better
and it has.
attack.
Yeah, it's a little bit better.
Find a friend for one. You could use that. It's not ideal, but you search your deck for any one Pokemon, so you're setting up your next turn.
Yeah. So anyway, you have these things going on. The issue is energy, right? So
Right.
I thought of 2 ideas. The one's Lugia Archeops or just Archeops. I don't know.
Right.
So you do that, and then so people did actually play this to Dunsparce in Lugia Archeops
Hmm.
pre-rotation because there's the Dunsparce, their moved weakness, right? And that was really good.
Yeah.
Um,
Right.
but then that evolves into the Dunsparce, and you could paralyze, and paralysis is really nice, because just stopping your opponent from attacking is really good.
Right.
And so then you just go ahead, you can remove weakness, and with Dunsparce, then you can go and pivot into this to Dunsparce, the paralysis one if you had to, which I think is
Right.
interesting. But then that Dunsparce rotated, so
Right,
yeah,
but right, if you go with the Lugia Archeops, which obviously is a legitimate way to power it up, you put 2 double turbos on it, so you're dropping your damage output by 40 or more if you want to even. You could put all 4 on and get it even lower, which actually could be better because you're paralyzing. You don't want to knock them out. 100 damage is more than you want to do with paralysis because you're trying to get something stuck there. So
oh, so this is to boss. So you think you want to like boss trap something and then just
I think
essentially
so.
like Snorlax? Okay, I didn't think of that.
Because I also
Um,
think you play Radiant Alakazam in this to move 20 damage off, just dragging, slowing things down. And then with that, then you're knocking out the bench Pokemon along the
oh
way.
yeah, that's interesting. I didn't consider that because obviously that's kind of awkward to get powered up, but that's interesting. It seems kind of bad, but
Well, there's better
it seems
partners for Lugia Archeops. Look, you're set up,
that's
right?
funny. That's like an infinite loop, but also like
Right. You don't deck
so it's
out.
kind of like Snorlax, but that seems really inconsistent. So
Yeah, setting it
notably
up.
because
Yeah.
like you need the Dunsparce every turn. But that's an interesting concept. Because I wasn't going that route. I was thinking Lugia Archeops just as a
Hmm.
like a situational attacker. If your opponent has something you can't one shot, like say Charizard EX, which you can one shot, but it's harder.
Right.
Um,
Right. Right. You could, if you wanted to go with the Dunsparce engine with Lugia Archeops, and then you would drop in just probably 1 copy of this as for the attacking option, right? To handle
yeah,
certain
even as
situations.
like an attacker, I don't know. I think you could do like 2 Dunsparce and then one of each to Dunsparce. So you could do
Hmm.
that, and then you could also I don't know. And then my other concept was reverse
Yeah.
Landry plus Zadu. I think
Yeah.
Zadu is probably the best general, and you could do Mela as well, but I think Zadu is like interesting.
Right. Zatu is probably the more straightforward way if you wanted to try this because it's all single prize. So and you want to keep it as a single prize deck, right? Because you can't give a multi prize Lugia isn't good. You're going for a slow game because you're not going to set up well. You could also do the the Wigglytuff that accelerates some energy, right? That's the one.
Yeah, you could do that one. Accelerates therapeutic energy.
Right.
It's It's okay. I mean, it's not very good. It's kind of bad, but it is an option.
Right, but you have to get 4 energy on every turn, so that's one major downside to
Yeah, and find the
that gave you.
Dunsparce. But and then also
Yes.
you can send up a wall. You can send up Mimikyu is probably the wall you go for. I
Hmm.
can't think of oh, you could send up some ability lock Pokemon like Klefki or
Right. The Spiritomb
well no, that's
for Pokemon.
what?
Well, that locks
No,
out
that's
Pokemon V.
no, but that can be on the bench.
Oh, that's true. That doesn't go the active. So
But
right,
you could do
yeah.
Fluttermane, I guess, or Tinglu. Yeah, there are different options. Oh
Hmm.
yeah, Tinglu EX, then do the Radiant Alakazam thing. That's it. That's the spat. It seems terrible. This seems like the worst thing ever.
Well, or if you really want to stream it, once you're set up, if you go with the Claydol deck without the no supporter Claydol deck, right? And then you just
Oh
slam those
yeah, yeah.
energies on. Oh no, that doesn't work because they have to be from the discard pile, and these go back in deck. So aside from the fact you won't
Oh yeah.
set
But
up,
no, then you Radiant Greninja, right? So the issue with like
yeah,
Radiant Greninja is your engine.
right,
Now plus the Dunsparce. Yeah, I think we got this. I think we stumbled upon gold here.
yes. So these decks lead these cards leads to these type of brilliant ideas. So
Yeah, so I guess I'll talk about the last one now for me, which is Rabska. So this one's interesting. It is a card from the Paldean Face or Paldea Evolved, I guess is the main set.
yeah,
Oh, and you said so it's not actually so it's based off of a dung beetle, right? But
yes.
the like ball is actually the Pokemon, and then the like the bug like the beetle is like
Oh, that's
not the
not the
Pokemon.
Pokemon.
So
Oh,
it evolves. So and then it like transcends. I'm not really sure. Um, but it like switches.
oh,
I don't know not a
okay.
lot
Because I
about the
guess
lore.
yeah, I'm looking at it is a like some type of like a Pokeball type thing with some muck around it on the card.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, but revival blessing, put a Pokemon from your discard pile onto your bench. Again, put almost any Pokemon from your discard just straight into play.
Well,
We
what
may
doesn't
talk
it
about
put
a
into
card that
play?
we may talk about that later. There's a
Okay.
certain card reveal that's kind of good, but has a bit of a loophole. There are certain
Oh, okay.
like the
All
yeah,
right.
and I don't think you can put like unions rotated, but I don't think you can put them into play with this. You can't be like
No.
I'm putting in a quarter of Mewtwo into play or something.
That's
That
right.
doesn't have HP because it like that's not on that card.
That's right. And who knows if
But
your
anyway,
opponent would take a prize or not?
yeah. They take three
Three
quarters of
quarters
a
of a prize.
prize.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway, so
Good.
Rabska, obviously control and obviously stage twos, right? So stage
Yes.
twos because if it's a stage one, just play the stage one.
Right.
Um, so I thought of a few. One was Torterra. Torterra, I played it. It's like so bad. I played like one game and then I had like Buddy Buddy Poffin, but it doesn't get you the basic, so it's bad. But anyway, so I think you could do this with Torterra because that decks are so hard to set up, and I think you're looking to get a stage two EX into play because those have a lot of HP. So your opponent's not just
Right.
going to gust it and knock it out. If it's like, oh, I'm getting this, um, what's like a single prize stage two that's good, like Baxcalibur into play, they're just going to boss it up and knock it out. So, um, I think you can get Torterra, or you can do there's one other. The idea is if you want like a lot of stage two. So Meowscarada EX, which pings with its ability, and so you get a
Hmm.
lot of those in play, and then you ping your opponent a lot, right?
Yeah. Although I don't think you want it one where you need a lot in play because it's your attack per turn, only one per turn. So now you
Well,
give.
but you manually evolve some, and then you
Okay.
also attack.
Yeah, I'm not sure with the Miascarada if I love that. The Torterra, I'm a little wondering about that because obviously evolving that manually is what the deck's trying to do because the Grottle that
Well, you can get Grottles and Torterras at like the same time.
that's
The
true.
issues
You can get
you
there
do on
faster.
grass Pokemon, Relor, the basic is a grass Pokemon, and there is a grass Rabska, which is actually pretty decent. So that's kind of what I was thinking there. And
Yes.
then lastly, there's a deck called Bird Control, which is actually different than another deck that's also called Bird Control.
Hmm.
Um, that like deck names been tossed around a bunch, but the deck that I called Bird Control, or that I've heard most called it, is Decidueye EX with Pidgeot EX. So you all know Pidgeot EX, it's a
Hmm.
good card. You could get Pidgeot EX into play, or you could get Decidueye EX. Decidueye EX, it has an attack. that doesn't matter, to be honest, but you have this ability here. It's an EX, so 320 HP, stage 2, pretty
Mm-hmm.
nice.
Yep.
And its ability, total freedom. Once during your turn, you can use this, and you can switch in or you can switch out. Uh, and the idea is that you switch in and out, and then you heal, and then you like loop that. So there are a few ways to heal. There's like
Right.
some Blissey. I don't remember exactly how it worked, but yeah. So there's a deck with this, and then with it was like a stall deck with this as your like stalling Pokemon to tank hits, and with Pidgeot EX as an engine. And I think
Mm-hmm.
Relo could be useful because I mean, getting lots of stage twos into play is just not very easy.
Right. I mean, you mentioned Pidgeot EX. I think if you were playing this, you're going to include Pidgeot EX in the deck because that's a stage 2, and obviously getting that into play for quick search is always super nice. You're not going to play it with Charizard EX because then you don't accelerate any energy, so that one's probably out. You could Alakazam. You actually could do that too. Set up
Yeah,
a bench attacker and then have as a way to get that set up, and then have a walling Pokemon out there like you tend to do without Alakazam.
I guess. I mean, I don't know if that's any, but I think you only need
Yeah.
one Alexam EX, so I don't think it's any better using Relar.
Yeah.
Also, one weird thing, there's a Runic list which is kind of similar. Like I was thinking of lots of concepts, and I was like, Runic list is just better. It's from the Temple of Forces. I mean, I don't know if it's better, but um, it's Summoning Gate. Look at the top 8 cards of your deck. It's a stage 2, one card list. You may put any number of Pokemon you find there onto your bench.
Hmm.
So you compare this with Cypher Maniac's Code Breaking or some other things. I don't know, mostly that, but I think that's an interesting combo. Like this is kind of better than Rabska, but it's also different, right?
Right. And you did mention the grass Rabska, right? I mean, this all the other Pokemon in the evolution, the basics and the other Rabska are all grass type, and the other one is quite nice. It provides bench barrier, um, all damage and effects of attack, so it's actually better than Manaphy for bench protection.
I
And
mean, it's a stage 1, so it should be better than Manaphy.
yeah, I mean, but yeah. So if you're trying to build a deck with the Rabska I gave you, you're going to include at least one copy of the Grass Rabska too, at least for that ability, if not to attack, which is actually not attack. That's right. Psychic does for one Grass Energy does 10 plus 30 for each energy attached. So your opponent. So I guess it's not that great, but the ability's
Yeah,
good.
it could be useful if your opponent's like playing Charizard and they put
Hmm.
like how many energies do they need to put in the guy? I think 6. Yeah, so if they put 6 energies on their active Charizard, you can one shot them.
Well, if the Charizard's going, well, no, there's the grass one that makes you attach extra energies, right? But that's the EX,
Yeah,
right? The stage 2. But then they're just going to knock out the Charizard anyway with that
yeah.
attacker. So
That
this
was
doesn't.
stage 1, yeah.
It's a stage 1. So yeah. So I don't think that fits in with this deck.
Yeah.
Um,
But anyways, so those are the cards that yeah you gave me. So were there any other concepts that you think I missed there?
let me see on that last one. No, I mean you could get Archeops into play as well, right? Which
Oh yeah, that's true.
So, without having any stage 2, so you can have a stage 1 Archeops, and you're not limited. You can get more Archeops into play as the game goes on. So, perhaps there's something there. Probably too slow to make it viable, but that's certainly a very good stage 2 as well.
Yeah.
So
And then there's also an Ursa Luna, which you can play in control, which is decent, or other decks, but probably control.
yeah. So, yeah, just trying to think what are those options, right, with that revival blessing. So, but it's stage one's not horrible to get into play. One colorless, so it opens up any energy type. That's what it has going for it. Um, you know.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no,
Uh-huh.
you covered it pretty well, I think.
Okay. So I gave you 3 cards that I think are better than your cards.
Of course you do.
Um, but I think they're interesting, and I'm going to see what you did with them.
Okay.
First of all, I have Veluza from I just have the cards. I think it was Obsidian Flames. It was not. It was Paradox Rift. So then no, it was
No,
what is that? It
Paladin.
was how did it involve? Yeah, pull up the wrong one. So
Yeah.
it has this attack here as a basic for 1 water. You do 120
Well,
if you
if
have no cards in hand.
yes,
Um, and then yes, and that's interesting. And then next I had Flamigo. I think from the same set, if I'm not
yes, I
mistaken.
think so.
That's the wrong Flamigo. What is?
It's
Never mind, from Obsidian Flames. So this has
oh
an attack
yes,
synchronized feathers for 2 colorless. It does 60 and 60 to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon if you have a Flamigo on your bench, which is not that hard to do.
right.
And then And then we have my third card is Starmie from 151. This is
Yeah,
a good card. This is a
that's
broken
what you
card.
keep
It's
telling me. So
free
I'm
damage.
somehow you're gonna sell me on this, I imagine. So
It's a pivot. It's free damage. So I mean, like what's not like? So it has its ability. Mysterious Comet is a stage one, of course.
yes.
But Mysterious Comet, once during your turn, which I don't know why it says this, you may put 2 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon. And if you did, discard this Pokemon and all cards attached. I guess the idea is if you use the ability and then it fails, you can't use it again, but that seems kind of silly. Um,
Oh, so I guess if you tried to hit the right, like a Charizard EX, right, they're immune or to the
no, that's
oh
I think it's damage from
no.
attacks.
Okay, that's right. So if
But
they yeah,
there are
and
like certain things that do this. I can't think of any of
right.
the standard
Right. I mean
fusion strike energy.
right. Yeah, so I was thinking before rotation, Mew with Fusion Strike energy would have been immune, but obviously that's gone.
Mhm. But anyway, so yeah, and then you discard this Pokemon all attached cards, so it can
Yes.
function as a pivot.
Okay. So, all right. So, three great cards you gave me, obviously. So, I'll start off with Flamigo because that one at least seems to have a little bit of direction for me. So, let me get it called up here. So, Synchronized Feather. So, it's a basic, and there's actually four different Flamigos in format now. If I want to mix it up, look.
Or wow,
See, you didn't know that, did you?
I knew there's three. Oh yeah, no, I remember the fourth. Yeah, yeah. I
So,
forgot about the one from Scarlet and Violet, but yeah, it's good. It's not good. It's
yeah, I don't
terrible.
have a copy of that one actually in my collection, and I'm not going to pick it up. But well, first you have the Flamigo that people are most familiar with from Paldea Evolved. Is that what it is?
Yep.
The
Yep.
with the Instaflock ability. It's a United Wings, so that's why people know it. When you play this Pokemon from your hand to your bench during your turn, you can search your deck for up to three Flamigo, reveal them, put them into your hand. So I think you'd probably play one copy of this Flamigo just to help set up. I would think. Although we'd have to consider that. So because it's a basic, which is good. It's not searchable with Buddy Buddy Poffin, so you're just doing nest balls. So it's a little harder to get things set up. So the other Flamigo might be useful.
Yeah,
There's
and
a
if you nest ball for the other Flamigo, it doesn't. Its ability won't trigger either.
right. You have to Ultra Ball for it, or some other way to get it into hand because it's a non-playability, right? Um, so there's the Fighting Flamigo, which could be useful, although it can do what
Prob
20 plus 20 more for each opponent's bench Pokemon, so it can do 120
Yeah, it can one shot Iron Hands,
for
which isn't that.
two energies fighting colorless. So in fighting, you can play the Gutsy Pickaxe to help accelerate energy because that's going to be the big problem is how are we getting energy attached. So if we're playing this Flamigo, Synchronized Feathers, 60 to the active, 60 to a bench, that's not terrible. And you are taking, there are decks like Charizard, Pidgeot that you can two-shot two Pokemon, right? The active and one on the bench. Hopefully, that's what you're looking
Yeah.
to
Mhm.
do with this.
I mean, and with Pidgey, that only has 50 HP, so you can just snipe that on the bench.
Right. And if they don't have and even if you don't knock out the active, but if they don't have a Pidgeot evolved yet, taking out that Pidgey can be very effective because now you've made life difficult for them.
Mhm.
Or again, if they only have the Charmander on the bench, if they don't have any evolved yet, again, they can't then attack what they want to the following turn. So 60 on the bench is good. The problem is it's too colorless, so you want to pay for it with one double turbo energy. That's what it wants to do. But then you're down to 40 to the active, 40 to the bench, and that's horrible. So you got to toss away the double turbo and now you got to get two energies on, and you have to do it every turn, right? You're not like setting up with behind. I guess you can have a Mimikyu for a turn or two and maybe set up your bench, but this doesn't seem like that's good
I mean,
enough. Go,
it's too
go.
colorless on a basic Pokemon. That's not very hard to do.
Well, okay, so but I need energy acceleration, right? That's I think. So
Yeah.
Gutsy Pickaxe if I want to go fighting is one way. Not terrible. You have to switch. Zatu, probably Zatu is what I'm thinking. Again, it only goes to the bench. That's psychic energies, and it's a good engine as well. Obviously, you have to get it set up, and you have to get the energies to hand. That's always the downside to Zatu, but you could do that within that deck. Um, you could power it up with Charizard. I mean, that powers up very easily. Um,
And that can fix the math on Charizard because Charizard's math a lot of the
right.
time is like a little short on
hmm
multiple Pokemon.
Yeah. So, and you could obviously do it with Lugia Arcaps like we've talked about. So, probably, look, I don't think a Flamigo deck's going to be good enough unto itself. I got to say, maybe you'll tell me I'm wrong on that, but I think you're doing too little, too slowly. But a copy in either a Charizard deck or a Lugia deck, I think would have value, right?
Yeah, well, 2 copies.
Two copies?
Well, because you can't have 1 copy, then it won't snipe.
Oh, right. You need two copies. Correct. You need two copies at least. Yeah. So that's the downside is the deck space, right? You have to have both of them play at once, especially with Lugia because you have to have your two Archeops down. So can you get
You
it?
mean bench space?
I mean, yeah, bench space. Sorry, is an issue there too. But and like you said, with Charizard, it doesn't get the knockouts early game. So hitting with Flamigo early is actually better than hitting with the Charizard sometimes, setting things up. And if you force them to take the prize of the Flamigo, it helps your math that way too. You're doing 30 more damage, and you already have 60 in play. So a couple of copies in Charizard could be nice. Charizard Pidgeot, of course, gets you access to any one card, so it's pretty easy to set up the Flamigos for you. So I kind of like it there as a tech in a Charizard deck. And again, you could do it in the Lugia deck too to help fix things as well, because you could. I think the Charizard deck is a more natural fit for it. So that's kind of where I'm seeing it fitting.
Yeah, one other deck that I think it could be quite nice in is Lost Zone.
Hmm.
Lost Zone obviously has
That's
energy
true.
acceleration and spread, and
Hmm.
it's a lot of basics. It's a little awkward because you need 2, but it's not like that awkward.
Right.
Um, if you had Raihan, that'd be really good, but we don't. So
Yes. Yes. It
we do have
wishes
Mela
that.
though.
Hmm.
But anyway, I think the card's interesting. I think it has potential because its damage is like pretty decent. It's pretty good. I mean, it's 120 for 2. I mean, the only thing better than that would be like 120 for 1. But um,
Right. I mean, the fact that
no,
you can't use double turbo, that's the big issue, right? If you could play it with double turbo, it might actually see some play now, which it obviously I don't think does see any play.
no. Let me see if there are any lists with it. At least on Limitless.
Right.
Oh, apparently I've already looked. So, oh, there was. Yeah, one person played it, and
Oh, what did they
they
put it in?
finished 10th place, and it's a Charizard Pidgeot list, and they have the one United Wings and the one
Okay.
other Flamigo. So that's
Oh,
pretty cool.
yeah. Actually, that's what you would do in that deck because it's a Pidgeot deck, right? Pidgeot Charizard.
Yeah.
So you Pidgeot the one with the Instaflock ability with your with Pidgeot EX, play down the Flamigo with Instaflock, and then your other Flamigo goes into play. So you get both of them with the single draw. You still have to then evolve your Charizards. You need Rare Candy Charizard that same turn, but it gives you a little more access to it, which I like. So, all right, so a viable concept, a top 10 IRL deck is what you just handed me.
Yep. Yes, it is. And I mean that's I hand you for all of them, right? So
Yes. So I started with Flamigo because I think that's the one that seemed to make the most sense to me. I'm going to go to Veluza next because I'll save Starmie for last because you're going to amaze me with that one. So,
yeah. Well, no, you're gonna amaze me. That's why I gave it to you. I
uh,
haven't quite figured it out yet, but that's your job.
okay. So Veluza, a single prize, a basic single prize, 130 HP is not bad. Um, Ram for 20 one water is terrible. So Slim Screw for 1 water does 120, which isn't bad. Look, I
I mean,
will.
it's good.
Well, here's the thing. Let's say it did 120 for 1 without this not having cards in hand aspect to it. It's still not going to be all that good. I think it's
I
fair
don't.
to
I
say.
mean, like Hoopo was good, right? And that was 90 for 1. And you had to switch in, and switching in
Yeah,
wasn't that hard. But 90 is substantially less than
but
120.
but Hoopa was good because it fit into a dark deck, right? It fit into Eternatus, which would use that. Now the good water deck now is Baxcalibur Chen Pao. Baxcalibur gets the energies on, so this whole nonsense of only needing one energy empty hand goes away. You just would chuck your 4 energies on to Veluza if we're
See,
playing
it's
that
even.
deck.
Yeah, you don't need to worry about. Yeah,
So we cracked it, play it, drop it in Chen Pao Baxcalibur, and
yeah.
it solves all the matchup problems. Now,
No,
okay,
but the
so
idea is like if it was just 120 for 1 water, you could play this in like lots of things and it'd be good. It's like because Cramorant's good, right? Cramorant's good.
that's
That's
true.
a little awkward, right? So it's essentially the same as that.
You could right, you could so you could put it in a Lost Zone deck or something like that potentially, or anything that has water energy, any deck that could might attack with Manaphy, and there's some, so you could. But the problem is, of course, we have to get to no energy. So I mean, no
Yeah, cards in
cards in
hand.
hand. So how do we do that? And of course, that's not great. So I mean, first and foremost, there's Ultra Ball. You discard 2 cards. You can grab a Pokemon to play on the bench, or you can fail it. So that's great. So you're going to have 4 copies of Ultra Ball, which you're probably playing in a lot of decks anyway. Not a big deal there. Earthen Vessel is going to be a must because it searches out your energy. You discard a card. So 4 copies of Earthen Vessel, I think, become a must. I might even drop in a copy of Grant. Not that I want to actually use it, but it lets you discard 2 cards. If as long as it's in the discard pile, you can put it into your hand by discarding 2 cards. You just need a way to discard it again. But again, if you have Earthen Vessel or something, you could. Like playing a copy of Grant, just leaving it in the discard pile to have it available to use when needed. I think is useful. I probably dropped that in. After now, I haven't really cracked the deck. I'm thinking maybe Hand Trimmer, which I haven't played yet. I don't know if you've used it or not yet. Each player
If
just
not,
I haven't, and I haven't really thought about it, but I would like to use it because it's kind of this absurd card. Um, each player discards cards from their hand until they have 5 cards in hand. Your opponent discards first. So I guess it's could be in some control style decks for up against opponents that want big hands. And obviously with Pidgeot EX, you could grab it. So perhaps it's something to consider for a Pidgeot deck, but that's not where we're at here. It gets you down to 5 if you have a way to build up to big hand sizes. Maybe you're not going to get above 5 cards. You don't need Hand Trimmer, but in items you can just play as much as you want. No, you can't play this unless you have at least 5 cards in hand, right?
unless one of you, yeah, or well, more than 5. You need to have at least 7 in your hand, or your opponent needs at least 6 in their hand, I think.
Okay, right. You can't. So you can't. At most, you can use 1 per turn, probably. Um,
Realistically, yeah.
Yeah. So I was thinking because most items like this is probably a item heavy deck, right? Because items for the most part you can play and you can play multiple items. So supporters are obviously a problem with this deck. So what do we do here, right? So decks that don't want supporters, we do have that brilliant Claydol deck, but that's accelerating fighting energy, so that seems bad. Maybe Pokestop, and because that gets
Yeah, I
rid of.
think you're all in on Pokestop. You just rolling the dice.
Yeah, it doesn't feel good, right? But
No.
but again, I'm not sure how we get to the 1 card hand. That's my problem, and we need an energy. Well, obviously you have
Well, no, a 0
all right,
card hand.
a 0 card hand. So we have the. I mean, you do Barrel. So if we play Squovit, you'll crack this for me, right? Squovit, which
Yeah,
gets me
no, just go with it.
with Nest Stash ability. All right, I'm adding in my deck list now because I'm in live, so I'm building this deck as we speak. You shuffle your hand, put it in the bottom of your deck, draw 1 card. So I just need to control what the top card in deck is, and which card is that again? Before I curious,
Cypher Maniac's code breaking,
is that what I'm playing here?
I
Is that
think.
isn't there an item card or no?
There was a card. I think it was like
What?
swap cups, or I think it
Okay,
rotated. I'm pretty
What's
sure.
Arc Phone do again? Is that with
Okay,
the
oh, well, that
prizes?
switches. Yeah, I mean that could be used
But
in certain
but
scenarios,
probably not.
but you need to know your prizes. So yeah,
Right. So Cipher Maniacs code breaking. There we go. So I'll add.
or you could use Daisy's help plus Archphone, I guess.
All right. So Cipher's Maniac. Well, Cipher's Maniac code breaking. Put shuffle. Search your deck for 2 cards. So I put 2 cards in my deck. I care. And the first card I get with my Squovit, and then the next card is the card I top deck my next turn. So I set up my turn back to back turns. So I'm streaming turns beautifully with that, right?
Yeah,
Um, so and I guess I would play with the barrel engine because I need to actually get some cards along the way. I have a barrel first, industrious incisors, and then I squove it after, and I've hit my
the
cipher,
classic combo.
and I've hit my cipher maniacs code breaking every turn with my barrel, or else
Well, no,
I'm
because you can Cypher Maniac's code breaking
oh yeah, but I
a
need
card you can play. I guess the card you can play shouldn't be one that shuffles your deck though, because then the other card is just gonna be not on top.
random.
But
Yeah. So but I probably would play some barrels too. I would think to help. At some
yeah,
point, I'm going to need a little help getting going. But Arc Phone, what was the one that Arc Phone goes with, by the way?
Daisy's help. Yeah.
All right, let me just check that one out really quickly here. You're not happy about this combination, I don't think. I think you.
No, this is it. It's gotta be. I told you it's a broken card,
And
broken deck,
I don't know if I've
broken.
played Arc Phone yet. So Arc Phone, it's an item. Look at the top.
By the way, if you play live in Arc Phone, it's really weird. Look at the game log. It's kind of confusing. Because your prizes are like numbered, but then they like turn, I think.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. Or maybe I did play it. Yeah, it rotates 90
That's how it
degrees.
works. And yeah, that was how it worked on Pokemon DCG Online as well, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Um, with Peonia. Like you'd look at them,
Oh
and then it would
yeah.
rotate, and then you'd like get confused, and then you like choose the same ones again. But so they're numbered and they're ordered in the game log. So the order that they are in the game log is just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So keep that in mind.
Okay.
Uh,
So so
yeah.
so go by the numbering. Don't worry about the orientation
Well,
of
they're
the.
not numbered in the game log, but they're in order in the game log.
Okay. Oh, okay. If you go in the game log, the order is the numbers. Okay, that's right. Because now you don't have to remember what they are. Before you had to remember or write them
Yeah.
down.
Before it
Which,
was like essentially impossible because
well, you can write them
as they
down.
well they oh yeah, but they rotated, so it would be confusing.
Yes, yes. And we didn't have a game log. A couple months ago we didn't have a game log, so you had to deal with it back then. So look at the top card of your deck. You may switch it with one of your face down prize cards. That's what that does. And I don't. Oh no, I do have that card. Okay, I was like, I thought I didn't have it. And then Daisy's help discard, draw two cards, and you love draw two cards. Look at your face down prize cards. So that's good. And it's better than the old town map, which turned them face up for everyone to see, your opponent to see too. So you get
Yeah,
to know
and then
what
you
they
couldn't
are.
even use Arc Phone either because they're not face down.
Oh really? I
Yeah.
guess that's true.
So if people play GLC and some people like town map, but I think that
Yeah.
card's terrible. And then they have Hisuian Heavy Ball. You can't play Hisuian Heavy Ball, so you're like, oh, I guess I prized the Pokemon I need. And then you just like look at it, and
Oh,
then
that's
you
really funny. That's pretty funny.
yes.
Okay. I
And there are
wonder.
some cards that turn some of your prize cards face up. So um, they're like Baby Blacephalon. Remember that one, the fire
Oh
one.
yeah, you
The
turn.
first attack turns one of your prize cards face up. I'm pretty sure.
Yes, and then if it was an energy, it did more damage, I think, or something like
Yeah, I
that,
think
right?
it might have been. Yeah, it might have had to be a fire energy.
Yep, probably. I mean, all you played was fire in those decks, I would
Yeah,
think. But okay,
yeah.
so Daisy's and Arc Phone can get you that card too. But I guess Cypher Maniac's code breaking, Bibarel Squovit, Veluza. I guess this is the deck that the people were sleeping on for EUIC, and we'll be surprised when that's on Monday when that's the deck that won. Um,
Yeah, I know it's gonna be crazy.
and it's going to be
Um,
all over the ladder.
yeah.
All right, so I think we covered that deck enough, unless you have some other secret sauce for it.
No, that's about it. I think with Cypher Maniac's code breaking, we are talking about that. That can be useful not with Veluza, but with Flamigo if you wanted to go down that fighty energy route. With
Hmm.
Gutsy Pickaxe, that's probably what you'd use.
Okay. Um, yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I might
So
make a Flamigo Veluza deck.
there you go. Yeah, some of these could pair together. They definitely could. So, we got those options there. So, all right. So the last deck we're talking about here is the Starmie. Let me find it in what I started here. So the Starmie, a stage one, and there are two Starmies, or there's two Starmies and there's two basics. So the Starmie we're talking about here is the one from 151, right? Yes, which is number 121. As you said, Mysterious Comet. You put two damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon. They both go on the same Pokemon. It can be any active or bench. And then this card gets discarded along with all cards attached, which you probably don't have any energy attached, but you have your basic attached. And is either basic any good? No. And no. Okay, that's fine. We're not using the basics to attack with or anything. I just verifying. And then there's a Psychic Starmie, but that's not very good either. So I don't think I'm playing that in the deck. Okay. So Starmie, and so I did. So I think I know why you like it, and you like it. I'll call it up because you liked Flapple.
I did like Flapple. Flapple is one of my favorite cards ever, potentially. It's fun.
So it's from the D block, so it's been rotated for what, a year and a half now or whatever. So Apple Drop ability once per turn, you put two damage counter on one of your opponent's Pokemon. Sounds very similar to this, but this one was much better because if you place any damage counters on in this way, you shuffle this Pokemon all attached cards into your deck. So into your deck is much better than into the discard pile, I would say, especially because most Pokemon recovery comes from discard pile into the deck, right? If we had a card like rescue, more items to get cards from discard pile into hand, then maybe it could be better. But I don't like that it goes in the discard pile. I would assume you agree with that aspect.
Uh, yeah, no, it's not ideal. There was, as you said, did you say Rescue
Yeah,
Carrier,
I
which
already
wasn't
started
fun,
to.
and
Yeah.
it's rotated.
Hmm.
But Rescue Carrier's not that good anyway. So
Oh, well, actually, what you need is the item. or the item that got two 90 HP or less Pokemon from the discard pile into your hand,
No,
right?
that is rescue carrier.
Oh, rescue
You're
carry.
talking about
Sorry.
rescue
Oh
stretcher?
yeah, rescue carry. Yeah, no, rescue carriers. That's exactly what this deck needs.
It
Um,
is.
or the ability should be like the old Flapple, right? So, but so it's, let's say there's that part. We'll ignore that part, but it's not using your attack, so it probably comes in a control deck that some people might call a stall deck, though you would not. So
Well, it
Snorlax.
could be in a stall deck. It'd probably be more in a stall deck than a control deck, actually, I'd say. But
Okay, I mean it could go with Snorlax, right? Snorlax could play it, or Mawile, where you get something trapped that can't attack, and then you're just slowly spreading damage counters in. You could have something like Mimikyu get that your opponents can't damage, right? And the nice thing with this, anything that's a walling thing, like I'm enjoying playing Noivern EX these days, so that walling things off. And one of the things, if you get Noivern finally set up against any of these single prize decks, you don't want anything on the bench, especially now that a lot of people are playing prime catcher. Right now, they prime catcher boss, and boom, they hit into you and knock you out potentially, and your game's kind of over. So you want an empty bench. So
yeah.
having
Oh, and then they can't even play Prime Catch if you don't have any bench. I didn't. I kind of forgot that. I think I kind of knew it, but
right, right, they can't switch themselves either if they need to, which is good. So having an empty bench at times, like with Novinex, is actually good. So I can. The problem is though with the Starmie, it's still an evolution. So if I'm going to use it, I have to have one turn where I play it down, and I can't use the supporter that will automatically evolve it because it has an ability.
yeah.
So that's out too. So there's not. Is Boost Shaken format?
No. I mean that ends your turn as well, so it doesn't really.
Oh, so that doesn't
It's
work.
bad.
Okay. But the Starmie, the way it is, it sits on your bench until you want to use it. Correct?
Yeah.
Which is good. That's a plus. So anyway, so something where I think it's some type of a control style deck where you're putting damage counters in play. Maybe you have Radiant Alakazam to move those damage counters around. It can fix math, of course, which could be good, right? Which we've talked about, like say that with any top deck, getting some extra damage counters can get the knockouts, but having to deck space and bench space and just getting these cards in play, it seems a little awkward. So it seems like to me maybe some type of a Snorlax deck because that's pretty simple, and then you could add this in to help take care of things the way you want to. That's kind of where I'm thinking with it.
Uh-huh.
So what do you think about that?
So I've played this card some. I haven't played it too much. I might want to play it some more. The issue is like that it's like that gets this card and it's hard to recover a lot of Pokemon, right?
Yes.
You need to recover like a lot. So, but there is a supporter card that recovers 5 Pokemon. Miriam.
That's
Uh,
true. I haven't played that in a while.
Miriam is a supporter. Shuffle up to 5 Pokemon from your discard into your deck, and if you did, then you draw 3. So
Yeah.
draw 3 is like whatever, but this also recovers 5 Pokemon, which is a lot of Pokemon.
Yes.
So, this is pretty good. And I think it's really underplayed as well. But it's, in my opinion, a very good card, specifically with Starmie because you're discarding 2 Pokemon per Starmie. So if you discard 2 Starmies and you have your attacker, you can recover two sets of Starmies plus your attacker or whatever. So you can get lots of Pokemon back. You play Miriam, and then you have
Hmm.
some attacker, some like slow attacker, maybe like Venomoth or Bayonet EX or something that
Right.
slows the game down. Um, or you could do some type of stall attacker, such as like Decidueye EX with Blissey or something. Is Blissey the right card? Is that even in format still?
Blissey, what?
Yeah, it is. From Pokemon Go, it yeah. It heals all damage from one of your bench Pokemon for 1 colorless, and the stage 1 has 200 HP as well. Um, anyway,
That,
so
yeah.
but you could do that with Miriam with like a stall based stack. You said like control, like a Snorlax control based stack or Mawile or whatever. But
Hmm.
I think it could be interesting with like Venomoth, or something like that.
Right. Yeah. Item lock, which is obviously very disruptive for sure. And that one actually, wait, let me get the right one here. And then they're confused too. So it slows them down even farther a lot of times. So, yeah. And actually, Venomoth at one point was playing that with Radiant Alakazam to move damage counters. If you want to potentially get something, you could potentially get something stuck. Like one of the builds was Venomoth with Spidops to make the retreat cost high, so you kind of just get it stuck. You don't need Snorlax, you just make the retreat cost really high. hit the damage, move damage to the bench because you don't want to knock out the active, and then you could put that Starmie, a couple Starmies in to help speed along the knockout process on the bench. But you know, is it going to really get going? Is obviously a big question.
Yeah, but I think that's it for Starmie, right?
I think so. Yeah,
So there are some new cards I want to talk about. Actually, so you haven't looked at them yet, right?
I have not now, so
So
brand new to
there's
me.
a new Palafin EX. I'll tell you, it's strong. Its stats are very good. I want you to guess. It's a stage 1. It's an EX. It has
Okay.
only 1 attack and it's for 1 energy.
Hmm.
The only effect of the attacks it can attack next turn.
Okay.
What do you think it's like? This is stage 1 EX. What do you think it's like stat lines looking like?
Stat line. Well, a stage one EX is going to be
It does have a downside, but we'll talk about that. But it's a stage 1 EX. So
so stage one should be what, like 250, 260, I guess, maybe
they
up
can
to
be higher than that.
280. It could be. Yeah, I mean, kind of like a V star, so maybe 280-ish range, I would say.
Mhm. And then like 1 energy attack.
One energy attack,
Just straight
probably.
damage. Can't attack next turn, but
Oh,
that's
it's
not
just
very big.
straight damage.
Yes, that's straight damage.
Can't attack though, so I don't know. Does it gets to triple digits or not? Then, it should be. It needs to be at least 80 since it can't attack the next turn, I would say.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
How about that? Is that fair to say?
Okay. Yeah, I mean you're a little low. So well, I feel no, I feel like 80 is like low, but I could see them
It
doing
could be
that. So keep in
120,
mind it
let's
does have
say.
an ability that makes it harder to get into play, but its HP is 340
Wow. Okay, that's
and its damage is
beefy.
250.
That's huge. Now, obviously,
Yeah.
besides whatever the downside is, unfortunately we've lost Cheryl. If it had Cheryl, then wow, where you could heal the
Yes.
damage and just attack for one every turn, that would be amazing.
Yeah. So of course the downside here is you can't play it.
Or if
So
we had Scoop Up Net, right? You get it out and then you can just you can't play it though.
yeah. No, so that's unfortunate, but we'll get to that in a moment.
Okay.
So this is I send you an ID. This is on Beach. It's Palafin EX.
Yeah,
Its stats, as I said, 340 HP,
I see.
250 for 1 water, can't attack next turn.
Yeah.
Its ability Hero Spirit. Put this Pokemon into play only with the effect of Palafin's 0 to Hero ability, which is the single prize stage 1. And the ability here is pretty much it's the stage 1.
Hmm.
Once during a turn, when this Pokemon moves from the active to the bench, you may search your deck for Palafin EX and switch it with this Pokemon. And then all the stuff attached stays there and all that good stuff.
Huh.
So what are your thoughts on this?
So essentially, this stage one Palafin EX is really a stage two
I get, but you can get
because you
but
have to
it's
have
the
the
same
stage.
speed as a stage 1.
Well,
It's kind of
yeah.
like instead of rare candy, you need a switch.
Well, yeah. Well, you need not just rare candy and this and you search your deck for it.
Yeah.
So you don't. Okay, so you don't need the Palafin EX in hand.
Yeah. In fact, you don't want it in hand. There's that new supporter Perrin.
Hmm.
I think that puts Pokemon from your hand back into your deck. You might toss a copy of that in. But yeah.
So you have to switch. So I'm thinking you want it in a deck with a lot of switching, which naturally makes me think Lost Zone.
Yeah. Of course, you can't use switch cart, but you can use regular switch.
Right, and Jet Energy, right? You can Jet Energy
Yeah.
something else, a comfy up to the active, and it takes care of it too. Although
Yeah.
then I can't manually attach. But I have Mirage Gate to take care of that.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd probably use a bunch of regular switch. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
that's what I'd
probably
do.
play like 4 just basic switch cards.
Yeah, and then you could also do you could stick a tool that it only has one retreat, the Palafin, the single prizer, so you could put
A rescue
what's the
board,
tool?
is that
Yeah,
what it
rescue
is?
board. Yeah, and then you can use switch cart or something like that.
Yeah, to get right that you rescue board and then send up a comfy and then switch card to comfy out if that's what you need to do.
Yeah, I don't remember if there's is there any supporters that switch? There's Professor Terror's scenario as well, which is nice for healing.
Right.
Yeah, wait, do you have live pulled up?
Yeah, I can.
Can you search if there are any supporters that switch?
I will see what
I
I can
forget.
do.
I don't know. There's rhyme, but
Right,
that's your
supporter.
opinion.
Okay, type in the word switch, and it's a little weird with what it tells me, but let's see. So
Yeah.
let's see, boss, Erica's invitation, first soloed girl. What's that one do? Oh,
Wait, what, girl?
uh,
Paris?
Furisode, I guess. Sorry. You search your
Yours?
deck for a basic and Furisode. I don't know how you say it. You
Oh
put a
yeah,
basic
that
on your
part.
bench,
That's not what you
and
want.
then you switch it into the active. So it does a switch, but not what you need. Yeah, Rhyme, Serena, no. Let's see, there's Thornton, which doesn't really do what you
It's not
need.
exactly what we're looking for.
No, and then there's what Chantal. What's that one do?
Oh,
And
that one.
that's
Oh, that's a card. That
switches your on a, it's what boss on a coin. Oh
it's
yeah.
also switched.
So if you hit tails, so maybe we never found a deck to play Chantal yet, right? So maybe this
Oh
is
no, and then
the
see, this
deck that
is really
plays
good.
it.
If your opponent is running Psyduck, right? Psyduck from 151, which causes you to flip tails, then you can play Chantal with um with Palafin EX.
Oh, this is their attack. I don't see. I don't even know this card. Wow. Overthink. For one colorless energy, whenever you're during opponent's deck turn, whenever they flip a coin, treat it as tails. I didn't even know that
Yeah,
existed.
you didn't know this card. Yeah, maybe I should have given you this one.
This
So,
should go. This seems like how am I not putting that in my my Charizard Pidgeot box control deck,
I
right?
know, I know.
So anyway, we didn't. There's not really a supporter that's going to do the switching. I don't think.
No, but you can just do so. It's not like that hard, right? So this is,
Right.
oh, I think it's very good.
Yeah, I mean, 250 damage is very good. Not being able to attack next turn, that's fine. I mean, you have cards that do 220, 230 on basic EXs that can't attack the next turn. So 260, I mean, 250 is fine. The big problem, it's super tanky. I love that. We can put the Hero's Cape on it, get it to 440, right? Super.
Yeah,
And we can play the Stadium, the one that reduces damage by 20 with water energy attached. Um, right?
yeah, like Acuity.
Yeah, like Acuity. So, I mean, yeah, getting into play is going to be tricky though. So,
Yeah,
Lost Zone seems like the best base starting point, doesn't it?
I feel like you could just play it with like a straight Palafin with a bunch of switch, and then probably a
Hmm.
bunch of. I guess you do Rescue Board and Switch card as well. And then some people are saying pairing it with Iron Valiant EX, you could switch
Mm.
into Iron Valiant. You need to switch into a pivot, right? Real, if you're playing Switch, you switch into a pivot.
Right.
Um, but then there's another card.
Okay.
Because I think Palafin's interesting, but
Yep.
it's also somewhat straightforward. But
Right.
there's some cards. So there's these Pokemon with this ability Festival Lead. So it says if Festival Grounds is in play, this is a stadium. It just like stops special conditions the stadium,
Okay.
which is a discussion for maybe another day. But if Festival Grounds is in play, this Pokemon can attack twice.
All right.
Um, and that's interesting. But the Pokemon, their attacks are kind of bad. So, but that's not the thing. So then we have this Thwackey with this ability Bang Bang Drum. Really, really great name there. Um, if your active Pokemon has the ability, the Festival Lead, the one we were just talking about,
Hmm.
of which there are a few basic Pokemon with Wonder Tree, then you can use this ability, search your deck for a card, and put it into your hand, then shuffle your deck, and you can do that multiple times if you have multiple Thwackies.
Are there other cards with Festival Lead or just the one, by the way?
There's three. There's
Okay.
wait, yeah, there's Goldeen, which is a basic. There's Diplin, which is a stage one, which is a little bit of a better attacker, and
Hmm.
there's Swirlix, which is another basic. And you could stick a rescue board on those.
Okay. Yep. Okay, so this Thwacky, search your deck for a card. So multiple ones. So now
Oh, and I'm
Pidgeot.
assuming it's once during your turn. It doesn't say once during your turn. So you just like search for everything. You just get all
Just
everything you
search,
need.
and I'm going to search again, and I'm going to search again. Yeah, you only need
Yeah.
one in play. Yeah, again, these are the unofficial translations. I would imagine the actual translation probably is going to tighten that up. I would
Hmm.
think you'd hope so. So this Thwacky then with the other Pokemon Festival League makes Charizard in because you can stack these. Now Charizard, I mean now Pidgeot EX is garbage. You can only do that once per turn. This is you can do four per turn.
And this is stage one. So
So it's yeah. I mean throw away, take your chart. Once this gets printed, take your Pidgeot EXs, tear them up, put them in the trash. You're never going to want them again.
yeah. Now, what do you think about this though?
I mean, is it going to be any good, right? So what were the attacks? Are they any good?
They're bad. I think the idea is that you just use this as your engine with a
Yeah.
pivot, like it
So the other
set
has
it
to
up
be in
with.
the active. So now we're going to have what are you going to play it in? So is there a grass one with the festival lead or no?
There's a
But
stage one crash one of the festival lead.
so does it go in your Torterra deck,
You
Grottled
could. I think it could be
Torterra,
decent there.
and that because you can get the pieces going. Um, if you have, oh wait, it's so you attack. Can you use if you have a technical machine, you can only use it the first attack? Is that
No,
correct?
you can use it twice. It gets this card at the end of your turn, so you can attack twice with it.
So you can double up any tech TM card, which is nice. So potentially you could evolve everything twice or two
Mm-hmm.
cards twice. I mean that's quite nice. You can obviously if it's down to a single prize, you do what two was it 250 twice,
Uh, 280.
280 twice. I mean so you can do what 100 to the bench, right? Is the
If they have
one
damage, yeah.
if
Uh-huh.
it's damaged. So
Mhm. Or
um
the active as well, I think.
okay, so I mean, I kind of so that's one because it's obviously kind of like jump bluff if you want to attack with it, right? From the rapid strike jump bluff where it can attack twice.
Mhm.
So that's one way. Is there a way with tools, which was kind of a thing with the jump bluff? Are there tools to make it attack, or is it just an engine? I mean, searching for cards is really good. So I mean, you're not going to probably have three thwackies, but you know, you could get two thwackies in play. Search and you could get that potentially you can get this set up. Can you get this set up easier on turn two than Charizard EX? I think you might. What do you think?
Yeah,
That's the question.
um, maybe. I think so. The one thing that's interesting as well, actually talk about the Goldeen. Its attack for two colorless. It's flip a coin if heads, discard an energy attached to your opponent's active, and it does 10, but you can do double turbo.
Hmm.
Assuming you get the stadium in play, you can use this in control. And then I'm thinking here, it uses to discard energy, 75% chance you discard one, 25% chance you discard two, right?
Right, 24%.
Not added together, 75% chance.
So it's 100%.
Yeah, 100%. No, so
Yeah.
75% chance to discard an energy, which is like okay.
No,
Um,
that's pretty good.
yeah, and then you can pair this with Thwacky, right, to obviously draw like a lot,
Right.
and just have an insane engine.
Right. The problem is with the control build, you'd prefer to have something can't attack in the active spot, in which case you'd prefer something without energy, in which case you're not actually getting rid of energy.
Yeah, but there are times when that's not happening, like early game especially.
Right, and obviously, as control is obviously something everyone's aware of. You're hesitant to play. I give thought now to having non-attacking Pokemon in decks. Right, what's the upside to it? Because I know there's a definite downside, and certainly you don't want to put those in play in a match any control matchup.
Yeah. And so I think we're kind of rushing through these cards. But you're looking at this PokeBeach article, right? And there are two cards at
Yes.
the bottom. I think I'd like you to read. We're gonna skip over Dragapult EX for today. It's cool, I guess, but
Okay.
um, I think
So
that can
I'm
be maybe
looking at
for
the
next episode.
trainers here.
Yeah. Well,
One's an A spec and one's
yeah.
in the
Waking Whistle and Legacy
yeah. So
Energy.
waking whistle, an item card. Look at the top five cards of your opponent's deck. Very nice. Uh, Obviously, control's a thing, and control loves that type of stuff. What's it do? Even if you just did that, it could be good. Put any number of basic Pokemon you find there onto your opponent's bench. Ouch! And that's wow. Your opponent shuffles the remaining cards back in their deck. So that is huge for control. I think, right? Because getting
Yeah,
those
I also think so.
yeah, so and we have Prime Catcher too, and you can play that the same turn, or Boss still because that's an item. So and it's an item. I mean, that should probably be a supporter to do that. I would think.
Yeah, I mean it's very good for control, but mostly Snorlax and I guess Mawile.
Right. Yeah. So okay, so there's that, and then Legacy Energy is the A spec. So a special energy. So this is the first special energy, right? A spec, I think.
Second, Special Energy. We saw
Oh, the
Neo
one.
Upper Energy.
Oh, that's right. I haven't tried that one yet. I need to. So, right, which is for stage two. But this one, as long as this card's attached to Pokemon, it provides every type of energy, but only one energy at a time. Okay, standard stuff. As long as this card is attached to a Pokemon, when it is knocked out by damage from an opponent's attack, your opponent takes one less prize card. You can only use effect once per game. So even if we recover it in a control style deck that plays Silene, you can't you still get the every type of energy. So it's like Aurora energy still, but you don't reduce their prizes more than one time. Okay, so that's interesting that they put that in because most decks can't get it back anyway. And if you're playing Silene or something, recover. I'm not sure why. I guess could make control too broken, especially
Yeah, we could like loop it forever, I guess, and then your opponent just never takes any prizes. I don't know. I don't know how necessary it is,
well,
but
probably
I
for
can.
expanded play, right?
Well, but then expanded, there's also Life Do, which is a tool that reduces the number of prizes they take by one, but you can do it again multiple
That you
times.
can recover. So okay, so I guess it doesn't. So that's obviously again a good control card, a very nice control card. Like, cause I'm playing a Pidgeot box deck that I'm liking, although its setup's a little inconsistent, but that plays Luminous Energy in it because I want some different attackers. Like Mimikyu, obviously, is one card that needs a type of energy. I play Alolan Vulpix V Star again that walls off abilities. So but getting this on instead of a Luminous Energy is a big plus in a lot
Yeah,
of
and then you can use like a double
decks.
turbo as well. Like for a lone Vulpix, you could do double turbo plus this, but you can't do Luminous plus double turbo because that won't work.
Wait, won't this? Well, no. Oh, that's right. Luminous shuts off if it's not the only one, but this doesn't have that caveat to it. So yes, even better there too. So again, wow. So making, because control is obviously not good enough. Like I said, two of the top eight, I believe, at EUIC control. So they're just trying to ramp up control, which I don't get because Pokemon knows people don't like control. They don't like playing against it, right? All in all,
Yeah, and Pokemon doesn't. I don't know. At least expanded, they don't like control.
right? They ban them
Um,
left and right whenever they can. So why did? But then they keep printing these cards, which I look. I like control. I think it's valid, but they're just going nuts with it. I think. I don't know about
yeah,
you.
yeah.
Do
No,
you-
I've been making a lot of new reveal videos, and every like this past week, and I think all of them were like new control cards, new control cards. These are like blatantly. Some of them were not as obvious new control, but Waking Whistle is blatantly new control. Legacy Energy is very good for control and other things. I think Legacy Energy is
right.
really cool. Um, but yeah, Waking Whistle is literally just a control card. There are technically other uses that are valid, but it's mostly control.
Yeah. So that's wow. So and when are these going to come out? We probably don't.
Presumably in the next set in is it May?
Oh, is
Uh,
it? We
Mask of Change, which is in
Yeah, I'm taking a look at it.
I don't know, it's coming out in April in Japan.
Or Twilight Masquerade, I think.
Twilight, yeah, Mask of Change is the Japanese set. So
I think yeah, Twilight
um
Masquerade, and that's coming out May 24th, according to my little sheet that I have with it, which is obviously not official.
yeah, no, it's official. It's official.
My sheet's got it. Yeah, it's directly from Pokemon Company right to my
Yeah, no,
desktop.
you send it to Pokemon Company. You're like, yeah, this is when we're releasing it.
Exactly. So, all right, I'm not liking those cards. I got to say, I like some control, but I think its control's good enough where it is. I got to say, that's kind of, and losing Echoing Horn was the one thing that was a plus. You know, that definitely set the control decks back, but it's not the same card. But Waking Whistle kind of is probably better in a lot of cases. It's
Yeah,
different,
I mean it's
obviously.
different,
Yeah.
but yeah. Anyway, so I think I figured we should talk about these cards. There are some other cards revealed that are interesting, but
Hmm.
I feel like those were really
Okay.
potentially impactful cards. I don't know about the festival ones; they're kind of funny. But anyway, so I think that's all for today's podcast. We hope you enjoyed. Check us out on YouTube at 10 Types and Uncommon Fossil.
Yep.
And next week we're gonna do something. I don't know. Comment down below if you have ideas.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we have some. Yeah, but we're excited to see you in the next podcast.
All right. Take care.